See, it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stuck.
Not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. We head down to the first corner.
Have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead. 54, 48 through 3 and 4. Working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here. Yeah, Trejo ran off the track in the final quarter. That'll allow Fuller to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo into the grass goes Ben Fuller for turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on, he's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try it here, boys, they're gonna do it. Let's go backside, they touch, they're gonna crash. Bridgeville gonna slam the attenuator hard into the wall, and Sarah Testa hits him as well. That's big damage on these cars. That's a huge
number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, trying to make a run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in front of the car.
James Howden looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide for this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
Joliet, Illinois, about an hour and a half southwest of Chicago, the Windy City. This is Chicagoland Speedway for Outsider Racing League, round number 16, round 2 of the chase in the 2021 championship. My name is Kyle Hire, joined by Finian DeCuna. Finian, welcome back. 2 weeks after Daytona, had some great racing there. This week, though, back to the mile and a half, the cookie cutters, as they call them. This one, the curve back straightaway. 150 laps coming our way here from Chicago.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing this race get underway, and really, I guess you could argue the first true track on the chase schedule for these drivers to really lock and load, and definitely, especially the guys near the front, trying to get some solid points in. Now the kind of the randomness from Daytona's in the past.
Heading down to the racetrack here for qualifying. That's not the screen that you want to see.
Yeah.
Man, we were just joking right before how rusty we are. Well, me too, as we finally get this set up for the right display. That would be wonderful. Here we are. Welcome to Chicagoland. Again, Camp 90's Kyle Heyer, clearly not a great producer.
Yeah, what have we been doing this for, what, 3 years now?
Maybe. It's been a while. It's been 2 weeks since we've been here for ORL. It's been even longer since I've been good at this. But down on the racetrack now, here's a look at our qualifying order. Zach Carr at the top of the order, spinning across the line. Caleb Weekly, second. Nope, make that Ray Massey. You'll notice the yellow. Fitting the yellow are our chase competitors. The white, everybody else.
Yeah, and also, too, for the drivers on track, you can tell by the blue windshield banner, the blue splitter, and the blue rear spoiler. Those will also indicate the drivers that have got themselves in the chase. And with Zach Carr up in the front, no real surprise there. Was one of the few drivers in the playoffs to have a decent run out of Daytona. So he got some decent points. All go to continue that.
Jeff Wright goes second quick in qualifying, second on the board, 30.48 compared to the 30.47 from Zach Carr at the top of the order as we head into our 16th round of the season. Finian, we are pretty deep into the year, but in terms of the standings, it's still Zach Carr out in front of Jonathan Hernandez by 4 points. Then it's Ray Massey, Jeff Wright, Casey Lakatos, the top 5 in the points. Ryan Carwile down 4 after Daytona. Liam Sheen down 1. Bowers, Gaba, Cockrell, Bryce Colusa, and Chuck Sweeting, the rest of the 12 in our chase. But notably, Jonathan Hernandez up 4 spots after Daytona a couple weeks ago, where he finished third. He's on a hot streak, 5 consecutive top 10. Actually, make that 6 consecutive top 10 runs. So Hernandez qualified 7th. Maybe he's one to watch.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see if he can get it. I mean, out of the top 4 is the only driver to not have a win. So looking to see if he can change that up. But he has been really consistent, and consistency is definitely key. Although when you're up against a guy like Zach Carr, you're gonna need to be a little bit more than consistent.
Chuck Sweeting right now making his second lap around Chicagoland Speedway. Down from high above, Finney, the main distinctive factor of this racetrack. In a lot of ways, it shares similarities to Kansas Speedway and Las Vegas, but that back straightaway, hard to see from this angle, but here you can see that it's curved. And now, while it doesn't really introduce a whole lot of variables to the racetrack, it's something a little different.
Yeah.
Okay, look, they're bulldozing this place. I think that tells you all that you need to know.
I was going to say that, too, at some point. It's kind of funny this has almost become a historic track, even though they just ran on this, like, a little, not too long ago. But, yeah, with it no longer being on this schedule, tragically or not, it's kind of unfortunate not to see Chicagoland, because I've been used to it for so many years now with both NASCAR and IndyCar events. And, yeah, looking, as you mentioned, looking like it might be bulldozed. But at least we have it forever in the sim. And these guys, speaking of which, getting ready to get down to gridding.
Well, nearby is also the Autobahn Country Club. I was there last weekend for Grid Life Chicago, and I can tell you, a nearby town of Joliet, not much there either. They could probably bulldoze that and just fill Chicagoland Speedway with the rubble and then just pave it over and make it into an autocross course or something. That might be an improvement. All right, down to the racetrack now. Let's have a look at the weather before I get myself in too much trouble. 75 in the air, 116. I think that's the melting temperature of steel on Mars. And it is hot and humid here at Chicagoland Speedway. Double filed for our start, Finney, and I guess it's probably time to run through our starting lineup, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, on road number 1 to start the race off here tonight, it's going to be Zach Carr in the number 37 Chevrolet. Jeff Wright starts second in the Ford Mustang.
And then in third, we have Ray Massey. And how about Caleb Weekly? A flying time for him, up in 4th place, highest qualifying position he's had all season. Just looking to see what he can get done. He's yet to finish in the top 10 this season. Look, see if he can get one tonight.
In row number 3, it's going to be Matthew Close in the number 92. Bryce Colusa in the number 20. He's a chase competitor. He will roll off in 6th.
Jonathan Hernandez is going to be rolling off in 7th in the 19 car. Next to him, Eric Hutton lining up in the 88 machine.
In 9th place, Angel Ronis in the number 29 Adidas car. Brennan Bowers starts 10th. GLTC on the hood of that car. He will start in P10 in the number 31.
Back in behind him, row number 6, AJ Stravato lined up in the 33 car. Ben Laffer next to him in the 64 in 12th.
In 13th place, Robert Gaba in the number 75. He'll start alongside the 74 car. Chuck Sweeting, that's that kind of metallic green car in the outside of row number 7.
Brad Allison starting in 15th in the number 3 car. Next to him, Casey Lakatos starting in the 50 in 16th.
17th place, Joshua Collins, the number 76. Brian Chambliss, the number 9, starts 18th, and Eddie Trejo and Clifton Cockrell running out the 20-car field. 150 laps, Finney. This is not a short race by any stretch. 150 laps is about 90, just short of 90 minutes, just about 75, if I did my math correctly. 85. 60 plus 15, what's that?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Doesn't matter. An hour and 16 minutes. This is already a mess. It's been too long. When you don't do this every night, after doing it every night for 3 years, you get a little loopy.
Yeah,
you forget where
you
things go. You don't know what buttons do what. You don't know who is who. But I think it's time to go racing back at Chicagoland. Up next on the schedule will be next weekend, North Wilkesboro, then Nashville, Dover, and Darlington. And this series will be complete on July 31st. The end of this month, it's July 3rd. Happy Independence Day to everybody from the United States of America. And I guess everybody else can take a hike. Or set off fireworks and band with us for our celebration of 200 who cares years of quote-unquote independence.
Just going off tonight.
I guess so.
First Joliet, now the country.
Oh man, I got a lot of stories about Joliet. I don't know if you want to hear them. Maybe once we get a caution, we'll talk about them. Time to go racing, 150 laps. And that car brings me to the green. Green flag flies, we're racing. And the outside of racing, we got Chicagoland. Lap 1 of the book, Zach Carr leads the way. Jeff Wright to second behind him. A couple drivers scattering here on the very wide apron. Finney, fair game to use that apron around here. You'll see drivers using it almost every lap.
Yeah, I saw Caleb Weekly in behind trying to switch it up with Matthew Bose looking for a fourth-place spot. But still, drivers middle of the pack, side by side, trying to sort themselves out, especially getting some great runs off the corner. You can see right there, Brandon Bowers trying to have a look.
Matthew Close got in the wall at the exit of turn 2. That's going to cause everyone to scatter. They're 3 wide as they come up off the corner. In the middle is the number 10 of Weekly. On the bottom, that's the yellow car. That's Brandon Bowers in the Sim Motorsports number 31. Well, big bobble there behind him. This is the 33 of AJ Stravato, and the Waste Management car has a great view of all this. Look at how little throttle, or how little you get out of the throttle, rather, through the corner. Carrying the speed on the high side right to the exit against that wall.
Yeah, nowhere for him to go. He's kind of trapped in all fronts. He's got drivers in front of him and to his left side. He's been Laughter in the 88, as well of Hutton, kind of keeping the 33 blocked on that top lane. But man, the 10 car of Caleb Weekly, he's just trying to pace this race out. Everyone's just completely swapping him on the start. You see Stravato already trying to put up the middle 3 wide.
Yeah, he qualified well, but is dropping back very quickly. Stravato in the middle on the bottom. It's the 88 of Eric Hutton. Good to see him back. Very, very sketchy mid-pack here, though. Stravato still stuck middle 3 wide as they come up off the corner.
Yeah, a little bit sideways as well on the on-entry. He was absolutely throwing the car in the corner. He knows that now is the time to make up spots, and he's trying to make the most of it, trying to run the middle plate. Just going to get clear on the inside, at the very least, of Hutton.
On board now with Casey Lakatos. The 64 took the 88 all the way to the grass. They almost hooked each other. Here comes Lakatos with a run. He's going to back out, nowhere to go. Lakatos climbed up to 5th in the standings, looking to conserve that momentum as he heads into the 16th round of the season. The 64 slips, touches the 88. They sail up the racetrack, crash as they come out of the corner. They're going to try to gather it up. They can't. Hutton going to slam the wall in the backstretch.
And I don't think a caution is going to come out for that because Hutton's still going straight, but a big tail slapper into the wall. That's going to be a lot of damage. Yeah,
here's the 64 again. He's going to get down to the apron, just tag it a little bit, bounces into the 29, tags the 88, sends him almost around. He almost had it gathered, then got hit from behind. Let's see what car that was. That was the 3. Nope, that was the 28 car. Clifton Cockrell running new colors this week. Unfortunately has a whole bunch of damage to the nose of that car now.
Yeah, we'll see, and we know how the noses of these cars with this package, it is a big effect on how the car is going to perform, so I think Cockrell's looking forward to a caution coming out relatively soon so we can fix that thing up.
Eric Hutton down to pit lane and putting tires on that car, but is he in it? Not sure, but that car is going to have a lot of damage, and it might not be a whole lot of fun for the rest of the night. Out front still is that car, Jeff Wright just in behind them, Ray Massey in third, Bryce Colusa fourth, and behind them, the 3 and the 28 side by side for 13th, and move Brad Allison up to P13.
Yeah, and looking to see if Allison is trying to move up the order, and then also in behind, as I mentioned, still at 76 and Cockrell side by side. Can't imagine it's going to last for too long with that 28 car all dinged up.
There's Joshua Collins up 3 spots now. Here's Eddie Trejo in the 21. He almost had a really good result at Daytona. Ended up falling back on the last lap in the chaos towards the end of the race, but moving forward, as is Chuck Sweeting. Thought he was going forward, but has slipped back 1 spot, make that 2. Long way to go in this race, and they started off racing very aggressively. But one of the things we've seen with Chicagoland in the past, Vinny, is that it tends to race pretty green. If you can avoid crashing on the initial start or any possible restarts, you spend a lot of time under green flag here.
Yeah, especially with this group of drivers, and they're fairly good at keeping things clean. Obviously, there's some moments, but for the most part, especially once they get sorted out, they can race each other pretty hard, pretty rough, and usually avoid a caution. So we could definitely see this race go green all the way to the end. It's a matter of someone makes a little bit of an oopsie, as you see Casey Picotta's battling with the 64.
You're liking the look of this 50 car so far. He's up 5 spots. I mentioned that he's up to 5th in the points. Now looking at his last couple results, it's been a little all over the place. A 5th, 9th, 14th, 9th, 12th, and 8th, but they are trending towards more top 10s than not. When you compare that to the first half of the season, it's definitely an improvement. Here comes the 75, though, Robert Gaba trying to delay some of that progress for the number 50.
Yeah, the good thing, I mean, with the chase resetting the points, I mean, you can pretty much just look at all that in the past. You get a clean slate to be able to move up stuff. You see 75 having to get out of gas after all the dirty areas, finding on the inside lane, almost got to 50 there.
Being close for 5th place as well. I mentioned Jonathan Hernandez up to 2nd in the points. And looking very strong in the 19, but the 31 of Bauer is going to drag race him down the backstretch and drive right on by that upper groove with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, Hernandez trying to slam the door shut, couldn't quite get there. Bowers is just able to find that outside lane and hook up and go. And he's been on a bit of a march, started back in 10th all the way up into 5th. And looks like he might continue to climb here. He's got 4 guys directly in front of him, and he's slowly catching up to him.
I mentioned the 6 consecutive top 10 finishes for Hernandez, and consistency is killer to everybody else in this field who's able to win races but not stay consistently in the top 10 or top 5. Hernandez is bringing the fight to him in the points, 4 spots up with a 3rd at Daytona last week. So keep an eye on him. Consistency is key. Only 12 laps in behind Matthew Clothes is stacking up a little bit. There's Casey Licatis in 10th. Then Gaba, Laughter, and Brad Allison creep into the picture as well. Weekly drops to the apron to defend.
Yeah, all the way to the grass, too, trying to keep the 92 in behind. We saw that earlier with Laughter that pretty much needed to do that in order to defend, but did not get a good entry into the corner. And 3 wide, Licatis up the middle with the 92 close and a little bit of contact.
Yeah, big slide for the 92. He gathers it back up. A scary moment there. A little bit of shuffling down the back straightaway. They get it all sorted out. We're going to see this all night long, Finney, and drivers getting up underneath, as you see one driver hitting pit lane that's Clifton Cockrell with damage. You get up underneath a driver and you just lose all the downforce on the nose, and you essentially slide up the racetrack, and it becomes very difficult to hold that bottom line without running up into a competitor, and very difficult to hold the outside groove while still getting the short way around the racetrack. So we're going to see that time and time again tonight.
Yeah, there's some ways you could try to plan entering the corner, knowing that you're going to experience that dirtier, but it's so hard in a stock car to do that. It's much easier in IndyCar to see, whoa, close contact coming off the corner between the 2, Jeff Wright and the 23, Ray Massey.
Massey into 2nd. Now, think about the importance of the points. Ray Massey is in 3rd, and the driver he's chasing is the one out front. Massey needs to make up 11 points. Wright very tight at the exit of turn 2. Behind him, Colusa and Bowers and Hernandez. All 3 of those drivers competitors in the chase and going to be fighting tooth and nail every lap of this race. I would consider this to be a long-run race tonight, where your long-run pace is going to be very important. When you pit is going to be very important. That all starts now.
Yeah, it is, and then all you guys are going to be planning on what to do. And I was also trying to listen into Zach Carr. You kind of queued up on the radio. Not entirely happy with the way the car is handling, saying sometimes it's just really snappy in some parts of the corner and a bit unpredictable. So it's kind of funny because it looks like these guys are on rails, but he's out front with clean air. He's having some handling issues, or at least the way he's driving, he's finding some handling issues. Here comes Massey trying to maybe take advantage of that and trying to see if he can find a way around.
Well, excuses are the devil's explanations. That car is the same exact car as everybody else out there. And if it's snappy, so is everyone else. So he's going to have to live with it for now. 17 laps in, and... Uh-oh. Well, the devil might have come with a...
Oh, no.
The devil might have come for Zach Carr as he tumbles down the order right out of the race lead. Nope, he's back. There he is.
Yeah, let's see if he stays back. That was a very long flash.
Yeah. Well, couldn't choose the pearly white gates just yet, so had to come on back down and prove that he's worthy. Meanwhile, I don't know what's up with all the references to heaven and hell right now. It's certainly not Joliet, I'll tell you that.
Oh boy. I want to hear some stories at some point.
You gotta wait for a caution. Here comes Stravato, slides up in front.
Boy.
Oh, big crash for the 31. He slams the wall. That's big damage. That's going to be it for the 31. Oh, man. That's it. That's how fast it happens. Here's a look. Yeah, 33 slides up.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, some people might look at it and initially think that's on purpose, but if you look in front, he's dealing with the dirty air from the 20. And especially at this point, though, these guys are 20 laps into the tires are not doing good. So this car is just going to push up the hill and keep pushing, nowhere to go. And unfortunately for the 31, up the wall he goes.
So Brian Bowers will be our first official retirement. Eric Hutton still on pit lane. I'd call that car out of the race as well. Clifton Cockrell is back out on the racetrack, a lap down after coming to pit lane. It is still a tight fight at the front here, though. 4 drivers deep as we hit lap number 20.
Yeah, it's kind of weird the way this race is playing out. Like, looking at the field at the moment, it almost looks like Daytona. Everyone kind of finding themselves in big packs. There's a big pack of around 5 to 7 cars, and a little bit further back, there's another pack of 5 to 6 cars, and then another pack in behind them. But you can also see the leaders pretty much exactly single file down at the moment. And looking at Jeff Wright in the 2, looking to see what he can do. I think it's been a while since we've seen Jeff Wright in a title fight.
It's been a while. There was a couple seasons, and we've beat this horse to death, but there's been a couple seasons where Jeff Wright was not as competitive as he had been in the past, but he has brought the fight back to the front this season. And so has Ray Massey. As a rookie this time around, he has jumped right into the fray and is now battling for the race lead with Zach Carr as they head off into turn 3. Still a long way to go, not even a fifth of the way there, but they're door to door for the top spot.
Trying to find his way out and trying to have a look up the middle, and let's see if Jeff Wright, does he go to the outside? No, gonna right in behind the 37 car.
Now Bryce Colusa gets to decide which lane he thinks is gonna move better. I'm not sure that there is an answer to that question right now, but he's gonna go to the bottom of the 2.
Colusa trying to get a run up the inside, but can't quite do so. Wright gonna look back up the inside here. Also, just want to point out too that Jeff Wright is in the chase.
Oh, indeed he is.
Yeah, because he is on the point standings. Doesn't have the decals or the number plates on him, but he is a chase driver. Unless they messed up when they were doing the points.
Yeah. Huh. Strange. Either way, he's not winning the race. Zach Carr's winning the race. Jeff Wright slots into 3rd. They brought A.J. Stravato into this mix. Now, A.J. Stravato, if you recall, didn't start inside the top 10, 11th to 5th for his climb so far, but he is coming quick. And when's the last time we saw Stravato in victory lane? It hasn't been recent, I don't think.
No, it has not. Let me double check that. Yeah, I remember last season he was on absolute fire. He was almost like a completely different driver considering what we saw of him before. Just was knocking out win after win after win. Was arguably one of the best drivers in the series for a time. I'm trying to see where
this time
he is in the standings.
Yeah, he is way down the standings. He's only entered 6 races this season, and only 2 of those have been top 10 results. So it has been far from typical for A.J. Stravato, at least based on last season's results. But that doesn't mean that he's lost any talent. I mean, of course, when you're not running every week, that's going to sort of be a detriment to your overall results, but Stravato seems to have speed this week and battling for 3rd.
Looking to see if he can get a run on Colusa here. Not going to look up the inside, which is honestly the smart move. I really think at this point in the run, these guys are going to be trying to get the outside lane as much as possible. You see Jeff Wright trying to do the slingshot on the outside of Colusa here.
All this is happening a half a second behind the two race leaders, Zach Carr and Ray Massey, as they start to pull away with all this conundrum going on behind them. And we're also beginning to close in on our first pit cycle, the next 10 to 15 laps. And that will start to split this race into the segments of which we anticipate going mostly green, given that we've had two fairly significant crashes and no cautions yet.
Yeah, I think really for this lead group of, what do we got here, about 6 cars, I think for them it's really going to be important, these pit stops, as to when they're going to come in. And just getting the pit stop executed, we see, guys make mistakes, you get pit road speeding penalty, or you end up overshooting your box. Considering how close this pack is, I mean, the top 6 all running within a second of each other, and the entire top 6 within a second, that a few tenths can cost you big. Look at Eddie Trejo trying to bob and weave through some traffic here, fighting with the Ben Lafter who's inside.
And Ben Lafter to the inside, Caleb Weekly just in front. And the Amazon.com Ford Mustang, really impressive job at Daytona. Didn't quite get the finish that he deserved there, but was certainly a factor in the closing moments of that one. Here's Stravato again, back up, running for 4th on Jeff Wright, and Jonathan Hernandez sort of hitching a ride right now, running 6th in this front kind of draft pack, if you will.
Yeah, I don't blame him for sitting in behind. I mean, you could try to move forward, but, the leader's, again, a second up the road. There's not really too much to gain here. And I think you realize, again, with pit stops coming up, there's a lot to gain down on the pits. So I think that's what he's just kind of eyeing up, saving his tires, maybe to go a little bit longer. We can see him maybe try to do an overcut compared to the other competitors. So we've seen the rest of this top 5, they've been duking it and diving throughout the rest of the race, but for Hernandez, he's only moved out one spot. He's been very consistent so far this race.
Well, I love the idea.
Sorry to cut you off. I actually just heard him clutch in.
Ooh, so some strategy happening now. You mentioned overcut. I like that call. The reason why is because have a look at the lap times that running, even the race leader. Last time by, almost 2 seconds slower than his best. We've got 120 laps to go. There is a whole lot of time to stretch out runs and basically pit as late as possible. And then by the end of this race, you're still going to have a lot of laps left to make up ground when you need to. So I like the overcut call. I like, planning that now. And I like what the drivers behind are doing by clutching in, saving a little bit of fuel in anticipation of having to run longer than everybody else.
Again, you're not going to win by doing the same strategy as everyone else. I think for drivers like Hernandez, might want to throw an oddball strategy out there and try to get some points. Again, he's fighting with Zach Carr directly. He's actually behind by 4 points, so he's looking to try to get some leg up on the 37, especially who's been leading. Not only has led a lap this race, obviously, led every single lap of this race so far. So most laps, so there's 2 bonus points right there that Hernandez does not have. So you got to keep the points game in mind. It's really big.
Cross line to complete lap number 31. And begin lap number 32 is Zach Carr. As he has not led every single lap. He's led very close to it. Jeff Wright stole one in there earlier. Almost.
Almost all.
Come on, Larry Mack.
I wish I was Larry Mack.
Yeah, me too. Off into turn 3. Things have settled out. The passing has gotten difficult now, so if we ever do get a restart, I think it's going to, toss and meat to the wolves. They're going to go after it because they realize how difficult it's going to be. Wow, AJ Stravato had a big moment coming off the banking onto the apron. But right now, it's settled in the line, just kind of clicking off laps, trying to find any advantage he can. But it's all going to come in tire wear and tire conservation. I don't think you're just magically going to be faster than somebody else at this point in the race.
No, that's again why I want to keep my eye on Jonathan Hernandez. I'll be kind of surprised if he doesn't go all the way. And I think I also just heard AJ Stravato start to clutch in on corner entry.
Maybe growing wise to what's happening behind him. This is a battle between Trejo and Ben Lafter in the turn 3, 64 and 21, battle for 12th.
Yeah, and also Stravato trying to work the outside of the two of Jeff Wright. Not exactly clear, but got a great run down the front straight, looking to see if he can get it done. Just a great run off the corner as well. Nothing really too much that Jeff Wright can do. He's going to have to yield. You see Hernandez trying to poke his nose in as well, but that Camaro is not going to fit.
It's a Move Stravato up into 4th. Really liking the strength I'm seeing out of 33 car today, Finian. He's climbed up from 11th starting spot, driven to 4th place, and has a strategy already in mind. I like what we're seeing out of the 33. He's winless this season, but he could turn that around very, very quickly. And he's also kind of a wild card because he's not a chase competitor. He can really mix things up because we know how good he is. And at any moment, he could turn that wick up and start pulling wins away from drivers that are vying for every last point.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he's going to be able to do so. Also, the scrap going on for, 11th place between Laughter, Trejo, Weekly, and Allison. It's been absolutely going at it. They were side by side by side, and we're talking about tire conservation. I can definitely assume that these guys are not saving their tires at the moment. Trying to do everything they can to get a leg up on one another.
Well, there becomes a point when you realize you're too far back from the race lead to really be in contention for the top spot, so you might as well race the people you're around. And for Laughter and Trejo, they've been doing that for quite some time. Caleb Weekly, one lap wonder earlier in qualifying, but has not had the pace to stay with it after he started up inside the top 5. 4th now to 14th, and to go in the wrong direction.
Yeah, also had a really good qualifying effort at Auto Club, notably, too. Had us qualified 5th there. So this is the 2nd time he's qualified inside the top 5, which is just surprising because you don't normally assume with Weekly being a qualifier. Well, again, this is only time. Those are the only 2 times he started inside the top 10, but pretty good. Yeah, it's some right side damage, it seems.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it would be very strange to me that, because qualifying at a racetrack like this with the package we're running and at Auto Club is all about carrying momentum. Now, I think he might have carried a little bit too much into the concrete retaining wall because he carried that momentum straight into his quarter panel, and that might be what's hurting him right now.
Yeah, he's doing a little bit better than some other drivers. I know Angelo Ronos, we saw him go a lap down. He was involved in an incident with, I think not with Brandon Bowers, but Eric Hutton earlier in the race, and he got some pretty big right side damage, and that car's been struggling ever since and got some cars down a pit lane.
Wow, someone just went sailing by the camera that's mounted on the turn 1 wall. That scared the heck out of me. Robert Gaba and Chuck Sweeting in to their box at lap number 38. We'll see who comes and follows. And Jonathan Hernandez is going to be a taker on lap 39. So
yeah,
a little earlier than we thought, perhaps.
Yeah, and again, I was looking at him maybe looking to go the longest out of the top 6. So he's the first one down pit lane out of that group. So we're going to see now. Really, the rest of the guys, you see that one group starts the cycle. The one guy starts the cycle. Now the rest of them thinking, what am I going to come down in relation? So we'll see what these guys are going to have planned.
Curious what Bryce Colusa
I hear Jeff Wright calling that he's going to come down to pit road.
There he goes, peeling off. So perhaps the strategy call for Hernandez, once he saw that others like Stravato were trying the same thing and that Stravato was outrunning him, maybe flip the switch and try the opposite strategy. But I don't know, Vinny, I don't like undercutting this early in a race. I'm not sure that that's a great long-term strat.
Yeah. We'll see what's going to happen because, again, we have seen passing be a bit difficult later on the run. Not exactly impossible, but definitely harder to do.
Trouble! The leaders crashing out of turn 4. There was a miscommunication and crash for 2 of the points leaders. Ray Massey, heavy damage. That car ran up the tailpipe.
He didn't even get down a pit lane. As Rick Allen would say, that's some championship implications right there.
Oh, problems, as he would say, and there was several of them for those drivers as they tried to hit pit lane. A miscommunication, car jumps on the brakes.
Yeah, and the surprising thing, I was going to say that Zach Carr, he announced that he's coming to pit lane on the back straightaway. He gave ample time that he was in warning that he was coming down at pit lane, and Ray Massey still ended up hitting him square in the back.
Well, that it's hard to blame the guy that was on the racetrack when someone hit the brakes, but with warning like that, I think that's on Ray Massey for me. But either way, they're both going to get penalized. Massey probably worse. AJ Stravato, hello, happy birthday.
Yeah, he's going to inherit the lead. And curious to see now, this is going to play out. Bryce Colusa is also, a lot of these guys going from a pack of 6 essentially down to 4. Curious to see how this is going to play out, if this could maybe change anything now that 2 of their competitors got taken out.
Well, Hood says think green. I think AJ Stravato is thinking about the money at the end of this race. The virtual non-real money, but money nonetheless. Leading this race at lap number 43, going longer than I thought people could go. But again, thinking about the undercut, Jonathan Hernandez is going to be probably the short-term race leader, but he might have to bank on a caution to get him back on cycle because he's going to get run into the dirt doing that again over and over.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how far these guys are going to be able to stretch it. If you can stretch it to lap 50, which I would be kind of surprised if they could, again, with an 80% fuel capacity for these drivers. If you can stretch it all the way to that, then that means you only have to make one more stop after that, and you're good to the end. The rest of the field that came in a little early, they're going to have to come in on 2 stops.
Well, I think the strategy that we're seeing here is see the 19 go by the 20. I think what we're seeing is drivers that were committing to a strategy that they know they could do versus drivers like Stravato that are going to just run the car out of fuel over and over and over again and then kind of figure out what happens later. So that's sort of not trying not to anticipate the race and schedule to it. I think they're expecting the race to come to them versus the other drivers are sort of putting themselves in a box that's a bit more controllable, but could end them, put them in a bad spot should the race not fall their way. So Stravato's strategy, I don't hate, but we'll see. It's going to take some circumstance.
Clutching in. Oddly enough, I don't hear Stravato doing the same, but Colusa is clutching in the middle of the corner.
Well, they only have to make it 5 more laps. Now that's a couple gallons worth of fuel. I can't imagine they've got that much remaining. But there's still 6 or 7 cars on the racetrack that have not yet made their pit stop.
Yeah, and those are Stravato, Colusa, Lacadas, Close, Allison, and Weekly. Everyone else is coming for their first stop of the night. As I see that, Caleb Weekly down on pit lane.
And then there were 5 rather. And Stravato's going to stay out for another one. This is really impressive, and multiply this by 3, they're going to be about 10 laps short on fuel come the end of the race. But Finney, that's a 2-tire stop and a splash of gas.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is also not only guys just thinking that they can't make it to the end, I think also guys are feeling the tires are going to be a key factor. Because if you're talking about the drop-off, it's about almost 2 seconds? That's pretty, it's actually, at this point, it's over 2 seconds. That's pretty significant. So a lot of these guys figuring that just the fresher tires alone are going to be worth. They're going to see how it's going to work, but some of these guys really trying to stretch it.
Here comes Stravato onto pit lane. He's going to bring Colusa with him, walk up down onto pit road. And at lap number 48, AJ Stravato will come on down. Again, that's going to be 6 to 8 laps short at the end of the race if he runs all the way out and continues the strategy as is.
Yeah, I think, that's going to be tough to save. I mean, not completely out of the realm of possibility. I know Stravato wasn't exactly on full-on fuel save mode, so I think he probably could save more, but you have to imagine how much time you're giving up on the track, especially with a guy like Jonathan Hernandez, who's just taking the race lead, how much he's going to be pushing.
Yeah, so Hernandez is going to be leading by a pretty significant margin. Robert Gaba cycles to 2nd, Chuck Sweeting to 3rd. Stravato's going to pop out of the pits right now, currently 4th. That's Zach Carr in 5th and Jeff Wright in 6th. As we work our way towards the 1/3 mark of this race, which will be at the conclusion of lap number 50. So far, we've had a couple of crashes. Cockrell, Bowers, and Hutton all out. We had the race leaders get involved in a crash coming to pit lane. That was Zach Carr in the number 37, whose car is mostly repaired, and the 23 of Ray Massey, whose car is very much not repaired. That's going to be a tough one to swallow for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and then for Zach Carr, much better situation for him getting a damage to the rear. Obviously not ideal. You do need that spoiler, but for Ray Massey missing the hood, that's going to be very bad for him aerodynamically. That car is going to be suffering quite a bit. So he's kind of, and there's nothing really else to do except to be out here and putt around, wait for it, kind of cross their fingers, hope and pray for a caution to come out, so he can come down pit road and fix that thing up. But otherwise, he's going to be struggling.
Yeah, this is the same story that we always see at Chicagoland. There's a couple small, crashes here and there, but nothing severe enough to trigger a caution. And that means that we get long green flag runs. And if you have a bad day, you're just going to have to sort of deal with it at this point. I mean, we're heading to a list of very tight, competitive racetracks. North Wilkesboro next week, then Nashville, then Dover, then Darlington. You will not get a chance to breathe anywhere else, so you might as well enjoy the open, clear track right now.
Yeah, really, this is a great ending to the season. All fairly difficult tracks. You also have Nashville, which has only been out now a few weeks. A fairly new track for most of the guys in the schedule. I imagine they're going to try to get as much back as possible, but it's also the first race with this group of guys. So a lot of unknowns going to that race. You got North Wilkesboro, a nice good short track for some guys to start beating and banging. Speaking of which, 33 of Stravato making the move on Zach Carr. Going to move his way on past.
Puts himself back up into 4th spot, and is currently lapping a 2.5 seconds faster than the race leader. So he is sailing right now, and he's about 9 seconds back, but I imagine the strategy that Stravato was on, at least until lap 140, is the one that I would want to be on. At 140 and beyond, who knows?
The thing, though, with Stravato's call, I mean, he's going to have to come down. I would imagine he's going to have to come down again. I would be amazed if he's going to try to go to the route of saving that extra gas. I want to say that Hernandez is in a better spot just because he was able to come down more and really maximize the stints on the tires. You know, Stravato's going to come down maybe 6 to 7 laps with 6 or 7 laps left to go for a splash of gas. I don't know. We'll have to see how it's going to work out. We're going to also make a move here on Chuck Sweeney for 3rd place.
That will be a pretty easy pass for Stravato to make. Moves into P3. Back to Ray Massey. He's getting passed by Casey Lakatos. That will put him outside of the top 10 for the first time tonight. And speaking of Casey Lakatos, inside the top 10 and continuing to make a nice steady climb forward. These tracks and this sort of environment seems to be where Casey Lakatos really excels, Finney, these long green flag races. He just finds his way into the top 10 and into the top 5. I don't think he's going to win this race, but keep your eye on the 50 as we get closer to lap 150.
Yeah, going to make a move to the inside of Eddie Trejo as well. Look at that slow climb up, now up into 9th place. It also got Ben Laughter directly ahead of him and has 6-7 laps fresher tires than the 64.
Should go by him pretty easily, and that he will. And move himself up into 8th. So like the climb that we're seeing out of the 50 car. Meanwhile, for 2nd place, Robert Gava's time is running thin. Number 75 running in 2nd. You can see the green and yellow 33 car approaching very quickly from behind. And Stravato's lead, or gap to the leader, I should say, has dropped from 9.5 seconds to 6.2 in just a lap and a half.
Yeah, he's going to plateau out. I do think Stravato has a good chance of catching back up to Hernandez. Passing is going to be a slightly different story. I think by the time he catches him in the run, which is maybe I would say 15 to 20 laps later on, I think he's going to have a bit of a hard time trying to get past him. And again, I am liking Hernandez's strategy call here. I feel like Stravato and Colusa are just going to be a little bit caught out.
We'll see how it works
out.
And
also, how about Jeff Wright? He's kind of in nowhere. You know, we were talking about Ray Massey and Zach Cargan taken out of the fight with that incident, but if I'm not mistaken, Wright was completely out of it, but he's completely dropped out of the fight. Yeah. It seems.
The pace just hasn't been there on this run, and I'm not exactly sure. You can't change anything, but the track conditions might be changing in a not so favorable way, but Wright is stuck where he is, and he's not really running any faster than anybody else around him, so he's sort of just kind of fallen from contender to mediocre right now, and going the right direction. Track has cooled off significantly, and I feel like Jeff Wright typically does well at the low grip tracks, and as the grip levels rise, he'll be hurting the two.
If his run goes on, I think at the moment they're probably going to be open for caution.
Notably also that Casey Lakatos carrying the banner for Toyota today. Not a whole lot of them out there with Bowers out. Joshua Collins, the only other Toyota running at the moment. And it has been a cyclical situation between the lack of Toyotas and the lack of Fords, but this week it seems like the Japanese automaker not as well represented as it has been in weeks past, which doesn't really matter, but it's something to know.
I was going to say, didn't we have more cars on our team?
1 point we did.
A few guys in our Discord, it's not all of them running Toyotas, unfortunately.
Well, working lap number 60 here shortly as we close in on the halfway point. That would be lap number 75. Hernandez's lead down to 4 seconds. But as you mentioned, the difference between those 2 lap times between Hernandez and Stravato is beginning to shrink. Now just under half a second between them at each time across the stripe.
Yeah, now 4 seconds, the gap between them. Last time, as mentioned, 4 tenths. It's going to come down to like 3 tenths, 2 tenths, and then you're going to just slowly inch closer from there on out. A little bit of a pack forming up in behind Chuck Sweeney. And Jeff Wright and Zach Carr notably fighting for 6th place.
This battle forming behind Chuck Sweeting in 5th. 37-2 and 29 car Veronis is now 5 laps down. He's trying to salvage what he can.
I'm trying to take a look at where Ray Massey is by comparison. Harrison back in 13. And just on the lead lap. I think he's about close to being lapped. He's got about half a lap.
Yeah, the 37, though, I mean, he wasn't as badly hurt as the 23, but the track position is going to be very, very hard to work back after having that established.
Yeah,
you don't just get to teleport back to the race lead.
And especially considering the guy in the race lead at the moment is his main championship rival, Jonathan Hernandez, again, coming in only 4 points in behind Zach Carr. And now Hernandez is able to not only get the lead, get a lap led, but also have a chance of trying to get most laps led if he can keep this pace up. Which it's currently being held. I think the guy currently in that spot is the 37. Trying to see how many laps. He led about 30 some laps, 38.
38 laps to Jonathan Hernandez's 14. Now, as it stands, the 19 car would be your race or your points leader and your race leader. So that is not what the 37 car wants to see. Bit of argy-bargy happening here between the 74 and the 2 car on the front straight. They'll get it sorted out. The 2 car has a look to the inside of the 37 down in turn 1. Door open. And he's going to try to rudely barge up the inside.
And he's fighting the 2, Jeff Wright, for as much as he can. And here comes Chuck Sweeney, going to try to have a run up the inside. Going to get to the inside of the 2 and the 37 here, all the way on the bottom.
Not discount the 74. He started back in 14th, now running inside the top 5. We're trying to hang on to it, so he's not going to give this up easy. 3 wide across the start-finish line.
Here comes Casey Lacadas into the fight. He's got about 5 or 6 laps fresher tires than these guys. I bet he's going to say, excuse me, pardon me. I got places to be and fresher tires to boot. So but the problem is he's going to have to find a way past the wall of cars ahead of him.
Well, brick by brick, they're going to lay in line, and that will let Casey Lacadas get to them but not past them. All different lines. You see the 37 car way up against the outside wall. 2 car down by the yellow line, the 74 in the middle. And taking the shortcut down the front stretch. Wow, that 37 really is rim riding, and in the past, wouldn't think that would be very effective, but with the changes that we've seen in iRacing in the last couple of months, that upper groove is starting to be better to run just by yourself, not even just to defend.
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases, especially later on in the run, it becomes an easier lane to run than the inside, because you can go to the inside and a car pull down in front, and you're just facing a huge amount of dirty air, and it's a lot easier to run that outside lane with the worn tires. You're not demanding as much of them, and you can carry them longer, and I feel like you're easier to get into a rhythm just being able to just kind of ride a few inches off the wall.
So line astern behind the 37 car. That's the battle for 5th. Up front, Jonathan Hernandez continues to chip away at the most laps led today. AJ Stravato runs 2nd. He continues to gain ground, 2 seconds flat. Now 1.9 as he heads off into turn 1. Bryce Colusa, 3/10 back, and Calusa's keeping pace with Stravato. I like the look of this 20 car.
Yeah, not only has he been keeping it, he's been slowly inching in as this run has gone on, especially around about 5 laps ago. He really closed that gap up on Stravato. I'm not sure that's with Colusa using up more tire, just pushing more, but he's been able to reel in that 33, so the top 3, slowly going to converge in once again. Although based off the last time that Hernandez came down to pit road, it looks like he may be due to come in about 10 laps time.
Might be right on time, right on cue, as that lead continues to dwindle. Casey Lacadas by Chuck Sweeney. That's for 7th, at least if he can complete it, which is going to be challenging given where he is on the racetrack. Right in front, Wright and Carr still going at it. Ooh, the car getting to the fence there just a little bit.
Yeah, the tough thing for Casey Lacadas too, again, he knows he has fresher rubber to work with than these guys up ahead, but working that inside lane, getting that dirty air, you're only going to really burn up the tires like that, but there's not really too many options for him, especially because Chuck Sweeney's trying to keep him honest, keep him pinned down there.
Colusa reeling in the 33. This is a pace that we haven't yet seen out of the 20 car today. And Bryce Colusa comes into the championship, or at least this round of it, at least in 11th. Dropped 8 spots after a 23rd at Daytona. That was a catastrophic finish for him. He's coming off of a 9th at New Hampshire and a 5th at Road America. But the consistency has not really been there. It was there the first 5 rounds of the season, a 6th, 8th, 2nd, 4th, and 4th. Then a 15th at Las Vegas, a 3rd at the Glen, 1st at Talladega, his only win this season, then 21st at Homestead, and then a whole bunch of all over the place finishes from there. So he has been fast, but he has not been as consistent as he needs to be a legitimate championship competitor. But he's still got a chance to get himself in shape for the last couple rounds of the season.
Yeah, and he's all the way back in 11th of the 12 chase drivers coming into this round. He's looking at getting some solid points to get himself back in the championship picture. Trouble is, though, one of the bigger competitors, again, mentioned before, Hernandez up in front at the moment, but I think he's going to be hoping that he can get on a better cycle than Hernandez is, but Hernandez, again, the pace setter this race, has been doing a solid job, but that gap down to 1.2 seconds.
Well, I think already he's had a little bit of a grace from God from having the two front runners get involved, the 23 and the 37, having a bit of a crash. Those were two other chase competitors that now Colusa will not have to deal with. So he's been dealt a positive hand here, the long end of the stick, and he's just got to take advantage of it now. He's only got two drivers to beat. One of them he's faster than right now. So don't throw the car into the fence like he almost did at the exit of 2. As we close into the halfway point, plan this out. I think Colusa might be the fastest car out there.
Yeah, as mentioned, Hernandez has been given a great hand. He just has to make sure he plays it right and just really just needs to get some solid points. If not a win, doesn't get a chance because, again, those solid points finishes, they're only going to come ever so often. And when you've been given such a great opportunity like this, your two main rivals out of the picture, at least further back in the order, you have to make the most with it. As looking at Casey Licata trying to make some moves, trying to work on the 37 of Zach Carr, heading off into turn 1.
Again, Licata has a pretty sizable tire advantage over everybody up to Bryce Colusa. And again, Licata continues on the strategy and continues to overcut everybody by a couple laps. He's going to be inside the top 5 by the end of this race. And he might as well point his way. I mean, he's in the top 5 in points heading into this round. He could continue climbing up the points, especially with guys like Wright, Carr, and the 23 of Ray Massey getting involved in collisions that they didn't need to get involved in.
Yeah, he's got a great run here up the inside. Let's see if he can make it work down the inside into turn 1. Or he's just going to get tight again.
Hard to make this stick. And he will not for the time being. We'll see if Chuck Sweeting will throw him the bone here, or if he'll go for the pass. He's going to stay tucked in line, knows that there's not a lot to gain.
Able to hit that inside line much better in 3 and 4. He's going to pull alongside the 37. This is going to be his best shot. I don't think he's going to quite get clear, but here comes Chuck Sweeting trying to also throw his hand to the ring on the outside lane as well.
Chevy versus Chevy, or Chevy with a Chevy, I should say. Toyota on the bottom. As we hit lap number 75, Sweeting going to go the long way around, carry the momentum, and go back by Casey Licata, pushing back to 8th. Jonathan Hernandez leads at halfway, and notably is only 10 laps away from having led the most laps this race. Problem is, he's going to need to pit soon.
Yeah, he's going to need to pit, and he's also got AJ Stravato knocking on his door. Just about 2-3 tenths of a second back.
And there's Bryce Colusa. So all 3 of the top 3, as you mentioned, converging on each other. Just past the halfway point here, 40 minutes to go, 75 laps left. And Stravato is hoping to just pit one more time. Hernandez is essentially committing to 2.
Yeah, and again, Stravato again hoping that he's going to be able to pit only one more time. But again, he's been pushing. He's been trying to run. Same thing with Colusa. They've been pushing up to catch the 19, so they're definitely not in fuel-saving mode. We saw they're just a little bit shy of their target last time through. Here comes Stravato trying to look at the inside lane. No clear-cut way around Hernandez, though. He's going to keep him in behind.
Well, Stravato again is going to have to save between 6 and 10 laps of fuel. That's a big ask, especially when you're battling for the top spot. That was almost a touchdown there in turn 1, and he is going to waste no time going the long way around. Going to pressure the 19 into hitting early, perhaps?
Yeah, I think really that was more just Hernandez trying to slow these guys up as much as possible. He knows he got fresher tires, so that was him just trying to, just impede their progress, if not just by a lap or 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Hernandez now thinking about coming to the pits in a lap or 2, especially as he gets really tight in the wake of the 33. Here comes Colusa up his inside as well.
So for second place, Colusa takes it away, and that will put AJ Stravato in command once again. And Stravato so far tonight has only led 9 laps. And who's going to lead the most? This is sort of a toss-up here. The 37 was well on track to do that, but now after the collision prior to the pit stop sequence, he has dropped to 5th. Chuck Sweeney is down in the box for the second time of the night.
Yeah, we're not surprised. We saw him one of the first guys to come into the pits the last time through. He'll easily take his chance to come down the pit lane this time by.
Bryce Colusa warming up the rear bumper of the 33. He is coming.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much they are willing to fight this, knowing that they're kind of battling off sequence with Hernandez. So do you want to just stay in behind, just kind of, you know, pace yourself along with the 33, or do you want to push and try to make a move here?
Well, if I'm Bryce Colusa, I know I'm faster than AJ Stravato. I don't see a real need to push. I'd save some fuel here. You're both on the same strategy. You might as well utilize each other for it. But the only one that's really got a say in that is Bryce Colusa. So sit behind him. I wouldn't put the pressure on him. Save some fuel. You know you're faster. I would use the faster part later when it matters, not on lap number 82.
Hernandez still yet to pit, still riding just in behind. Yep, as I say that, here he comes down pit road.
Hernandez slowing it down to pit road speed. 50 miles an hour. Or 60, depending on what cop is watching. So lap 82 of 150, we would be expecting Stravato in, what, 4 to 6 laps?
Yeah, I'm trying to see.
No.
I think probably 10.
10, yes, I thought it was
10
lap
to
92. So we'll see him at about 10 to 12 laps. Zach Carr is on pit lane this time without a crash to go with it.
Which I'm sure he's happy with.
I'm sure.
More damage to that machine.
I'm sure he's thrilled. Ray Massey is on. Well, Ray Massey has not come in for his second stop of the day. This car is just running on what little legs it's got left.
He's running about a second off the pace of the leaders by comparison. And the very obvious reason why.
Well, Clark's print shop is going to have to 3D print a new hood. Missing one. I don't know if they do 3D, but they're going to have to invest in it, I think. You can cover it with a wrap. It'd probably just balloon up and all the air.
Oh, God, I can imagine that would be very annoying. Just be flapping in the wind all the time. Someone come call down. Is that David Stravato on that area? Well, Bryce Colusa said he was coming down to pit lane.
That's earlier than I would expect, but here he comes.
Yeah.
Now, is this just to overlap Stravato because he's really the only guy that he's racing?
I think this is a good call because I think if they continue on the same strategy, they would have had to come down for a short stint down a pit lane, and I think that would have cost them a lot of time. Just as far as using up the tires to their full potential, I don't think they're going to be able to do so. I think this is a pretty good call because I would probably say the 20 is faster than the 19 on raw pace, and I think maybe he feels that he can do something with that.
We'll see if that drives the 33 car to pit lane, or if he'll stay committed to the strategy, and I'm thinking he's going to stay committed. Continues to lead, and he's the only one out there.
Yeah, I mean, for him, he's got nothing to lose. He's not points racing, so might as well continue on the strategy, see where it takes him.
Yeah, nothing really to lose. There's no championship. He's just going out there for race wins. There's Caleb Weekly in the number 10, Joshua Collins. They're fighting for 6th. About to go a lap down to the number 33.
Casey Lacotte is currently sitting in second place, continuing out a little bit further than his other competitors.
I like this call for Lacotte. This is the kind of race that he really excels in. And, come the end of the race, I think it's going to be a little bit of, figuring things out. But I think he knows what numbers he's got to hit. This race isn't rocket science. It's pretty easily divisible by 3 to, figure out what numbers you need to hit. And we'll see what Casey does. But I have strong confidence that he'll be a top 5 competitor at the end of this race.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed, too, because I feel like one of Casey's struggles has been being able to carry a tire over a long period of time. He just seems to have really good pace towards the beginning, but burns up the tire a little too quickly. So he's been doing a great job of managing his tire wear and maximizing it. So he can get I think he's got a good chance of getting a top 5. He can keep this run up, pretty much doing copy-paste of what he did last run.
Here's that car. Today, 38 laps led in the early going in the first 40, and then came down to pit lane, announced that he was coming, and got rear-ended jumping onto the apron to come to pit lane, and that set him back a little ways. He has not been able to recover completely, the highest he's been since then. as 5th. Now, that's not catastrophic by any stretch, but as he came into the points tonight, leading by 4 over Hernandez, who's now running in 3rd, that's going to mean that he's going to leave here not leading the points, which is, not a huge deal. I think they're heading to some racetracks that will be favorable to Zach, but not the way you want to leave Chicagoland. This is a pretty straightforward race, and we're heading into some kind of chaotic rounds, I'm going to guess. So I'd like to take the points where I think they're easy, and I think this is an easier place to get points.
Yeah, I mean, this is I would say, most cookie cutter as far as the ovals are going to go to. Maybe arguably Nashville, but Nashville being pretty flat and again a fairly big unknown for a lot of these guys. I'm sure most of these guys have almost never turned a lap at Nashville in any other game. I mean, the only game I'm actually thinking of which turned a lap at Nashville was in IndyCar Series, I think 2003, which is, let's imagine, a very long time ago. So
that was
and I imagine none of these other guys have turned a lap at Nashville Super Speedway. So it's going to be a very big unknown for them to learn. And we got North Wilkesboro, Dover, which is a tricky track in itself, and then Darlington ending the season at Darlington, and that track is far from conventional.
Dover, well, the tricky track is Pocono, technically. Dover is a monster or something. Dover is a mean monster under the bed or something, or whatever.
Is that the new tagline for the track? The mean monster.
It's a mean monster under the bed.
I want to see a thing now of Miles the Monster like hiding under a
Oh
bed.
man, someone's got to Photoshop that. All right, well, 92 laps into a 150-lap race tonight. Stravato still running. This would be his 44th lap of the stint, 45 for second place Casey Lakatos. That means that they're due to pit lane in the next 2 laps.
Yeah, I imagine they're ready to come on down. So Stravato definitely sticking with this strategy. We'll see if it's going to work out for him in the end. My hunch is probably not so. I think Colusa made the better call of just switching off and going more in line with what Hernandez is doing, and he's only about 1.7 seconds back, but has got some time to make up. Let's see if he's going to be able to close that in. I also do apologize if you can hear fireworks going off. That's my mic triggering.
It's probably both of us, to be honest, because I can hear them too.
I don't hear anything from your end, but I can see my thing activating on my end. The Discord's popping up voice activation. People don't realize that fireworks are for tomorrow. They're just a day early.
Yeah, they've been going off since May here, or March, I should say. No, yeah, I don't hear them on your end, but I can definitely hear them on mine. Go away. I don't like that.
Wait for tomorrow.
Man, if it's even twice as bad as it has been the last week, I think the entire neighborhood's going to be on fire. It's literally
this is going to be car alarms going up all over the place.
Seriously absurd. Anyway, Stravato on pit lane as the race leader. There's Hernandez. There's Hernandez. We'll take the lead away while Stravato sits in the pits. And this will be a pretty sizable lead. And if the caution comes out in the next 30 or 40 laps or so, I'm trying to decide who that's good for, but I just don't think we're going to get a caution.
No, I really don't. Everyone is so spread out at the moment. Yeah, I mean, they had a decent chance of it occurring on the last seat. Also always have a decent chance of it occurring at mid-cycle when you have guys with significantly faster tires and guys on significantly older tires. That's usually a good place where you can expect a caution to come out, but these guys have been pretty good, pretty tidy so far. They've been green ever since the drop of the green flag just about a little over half an hour ago.
Here is Brad Allison fighting Eddie Trejo. This is a battle for 9th. All behind Matthew Close, who's 6 seconds up the ropes. This is the closest battle inside the top 10 at the moment. Allison, again, a relatively new name to the series, but performing well tonight. 15th to 10th and still climbing.
Yeah, this guy we saw was a very solid midfield runner, inheriting the 3-4 Dark Smoke Racing. Normally driven by Andrew Dalganoff.
Here is Zach Carr, Jeff Wright. They've kind of whittled their way forward, but expecting AJ Stravato to drive through them in a couple of laps. But Stravato's back even further than he was before. 12 seconds at the line that time through. That's a long way back. And that means that he is going to pass Hernandez pretty late in Hernandez's run. And it seems like this advantage is beginning to dwindle. I didn't think this would be the case, but it looks like it is.
Yeah, here we have a battle for the lead brewing up between Colusa and Hernandez. And this is, I think, the strategy that was the call, and we're seeing it come to fruition here as Colusa already caught up to the 19 and looking to see if he can get this lead.
Tire difference between these two is 3 laps, but that's going to be enough for Colusa to be able to get by. I think Colusa is just naturally faster tonight as well. But closing in on 50 laps to go, and it's crunch time now. I think I like where Colusa's at. Both of these drivers committed to one more stop before the race is over. And you can come in the next 10 laps. And pit window is open at lap 106, thereabouts. Whoa! Wow, that was, we've seen that happen once or twice here before. He just kind of mentally checked out, and he hit the fence on the straightaway. Here's a look.
Yeah, I think it was just too busy with planning where he was going to enter into the corner, how the corner's going to end up. Just a little bit of a tap in the right side wall.
Not very elegant, but side on the car, and he'll continue.
Got away with very little damage, I must say.
Safer barrier just starts right before he smacked it. Or just about to end, I should say. That's probably why people smack it, because they're sort of aiming for the wall where it used to be, and now it's somewhere else. Jeff Wright passes Robert Gaba. That was for third in the backdrop. Still watching the battle for the race lead. And it is impending a change. Colusa still running quicker, despite trying to knock down the fence and gain access to the parking lot.
Yeah, and I think this is better because, you know, when you try to catch the driver later in the run, your tires are kind of shot by that point. Now, again, at that point, you're, I guess, also hoping for that tire disadvantage helping you out. But I think for Colusa, the big thing with hitting early, you have a lot more drivability available to you. He's a lot, there's a good chance of making some moves work earlier on in the run. Although it looks like for now, he looks like he's kind of content, just kind of riding in. I guess thinks, you know, he has one more stop to make. They're both going to have to come back down to pit road. Why it works so hard now? Maybe to try to pass him then, or look up the inside here.
So when's the ideal time to stop? Would you split this run in half and pit at lap 125 or 130, or would you pit as soon as the window opens and run it like a road course race?
If they were separated more out, I would say, you know, you can kind of cut it in half. But I think really, with the way this car has been driving tonight so far, I think it's going to be extremely dependent on when the other guy is going to come down on pit lane. And I think for Colusa, I would think he may want to try to come down a little bit earlier than Hernandez and then make up that time when he gets back out on track. Again, that would be ideal, but easier said than done.
We'll see. I think Colusa's advantage is in the overcut right now. I think the undercut would be a little risky because Hernandez is hanging on pretty well. I think Colusa would almost want to extend his overcut on Hernandez, but you'd risk running out of laps throwing him back down, especially if Hernandez stays out longer to avoid that. So it's going to be a bit of a chess match here. But the driver who is sort of out of the discussion, well, it was AJ Stravato, but he is quickly approaching. He's only 5 seconds back now. And if he gets back up to these front runners, my suggestion to AJ would be to get on their strategy and quickly.
Yeah, because again, the big thing I think is his problem is that he's going to run on his strategy. He's just going to completely run out of laps. So, and assuming that if these guys want to cut the run in half, they're going to be looking at coming in within maybe the next 10, 15 laps or so. So he's going to have to get on it and go.
Yeah, if I'm Stravato, I'm going to drive up to Colusa and Hernandez, and I'm probably just going to pit with them because I'm going to just trust myself to be faster. I don't know that a massive overcut is going to be useful again because you're going to run out of laps. I don't think an undercut will be useful because you're just going to get run down. So there's a happy medium somewhere that's going to be pit right with the guy that you think you need to beat. I think that guy is the 20. I think he's not being very pushy about the 19 at the moment. I don't think he feels much of a rush, but he will once that 33 car is there.
Yeah, I was going to say the big thing is he doesn't really have any pressure from behind, so it's really him just kind of playing with Hernandez here, trying to see, and maybe again, I would say you can overcut or undercut him. He's only got one car to factor in, but throw in a second car, especially AJ Stravato, who we've seen has been pretty much on pace with the 20 car, and that's going to be a much bigger problem for Colusa to deal with.
Just note that there are no other drivers to really add to this group. I wouldn't put Wright as a contender. I would not put the 37 as a contender. They took themselves out. And the 2 car just sort of fell out of contention. He wasn't really involved in anything that would shake him out. He just sort of dropped out of that leading battle and just never came back. Not sure what's up with that, but he is not going to be, he'll be in the top 5, but not a serious contender for the win. Stravato only 3 seconds back from the race lead now, 3.2.
Yeah, closing in at 0.6 of a second a lap.
And And it seems like the tires sort of fall off the cliff, and it happened last time as well. He was gaining seconds upon seconds, lap after lap, and then he got within a couple seconds, and then all of a sudden it tanked and was only a few tenths a lap that he made up. So he's going to have to hope that he can get at least a little bit closer before the dominoes start to fall here as we get closer and closer to 40 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if he's going to bite, decide to come in with those guys, if he's going to kind of stay in the bed. You can argue that, he's made his bed, he has to lay in it, but he does have the chance of switching to another bed.
Man,
arguably
what a
more
luxury. Maybe he's just got to pick a better bed to begin with. Instead of bouncing between one that's too hard and too soft. It's Goldilocks bed for AJ Stravato. And that was some prophetic stuff right there.
You can argue that was an advertisement for Tempur-Pedic.
NBCSN, I am ready for you. That's something that Rick Allen would say. Oh, God. The Goldilocks bed for AJ Stravato. Not too soft, not too hard. It's perfect day for the...
Yeah, I completely forgot that NBC started their coverage. That's how out of loop I've been with NASCAR. I was like I tuned in today. I forgot the race start, the
Road America
Xfinity races today.
Road America was great. It was so fun watching
it. The second half.
So fun watching the guy crash in turn 1 and hearing Rick Allen say, "There's a crash in row 1." and I was like, "What? We're on lap 42, dude. Like, what's going on?"
I actually saw that message, and then I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's going on," and I tuned in for the rest of the race. Good stuff.
Rick Allen, like, I give him a lot of crap, but he's really good at what he does. I really enjoy how, like, when things get exciting, his brain stops working, and whatever word is, like, in his brain cavity just gets thrown to the forefront of the sentence. Aggressive goes around.
I will say, at the very least, he makes it entertaining. So he definitely ticks that box. Probably not in the way he would want to be entertaining, but it's definitely entertaining.
Connor Horn in the comments goes, "Last time there was a crash in row 1 was the Dillon crash in 2015. That's dark. That's real dark. But also true.
Oh, man.
That's a Liam Sheen joke coming out. All right, we're under 40 laps to go now. And AJ Stravato is still inching in 1.7 back, within striking distance, but that's an undercut by 4 or 5 laps and an overcut by 7 or 10. He's got to get closer.
Yeah, and he definitely is. Just a matter of when is Colusa and Hernandez going to come on down. I would say good chance it'll come within the next 10 laps or so. That'll give you just about enough time to, either make the overcut work or try to have perform an undercut and see what happens.
I'm most curious to see if Colusa tries to beat Hernandez to pit lane, or if Hernandez will see that happening and dive down with him, or vice versa, or what's going to happen. And we don't really know what is going to happen here between these two, but it's going to be a chess match, and we'll see if the moves are reactionary or if they're, on... what's the word I'm looking for? On offense. Offensive.
I think definitely the thing though that Colusa needs to avoid is Hernandez doing the undercut coming down first. I feel like for him it would be a little bit better, or at the very least, if that happens, I think he needs to try to go for the overcut and not just respond a lap later.
Stravato's got some traffic between himself and the 2 race leaders. That's now 1.1 seconds. This is the most intense battle on the racetrack at the moment, so we're going to keep you here.
Yeah, essentially a 3-way battle for the lead brewing as soon as Stravato closes up a little bit, and he's been closing and closing and closing. Got only one more lap car, and he's essentially there with the leaders.
Just imagining Rick Allen. It's a 3-way for the lead. Because that's what Rick Allen would do. Been a quiet race. Since the drop of the green flag, only had a handful of collisions. Robert Gaba hits pit lane for his last stop of the day from 7th. And that's going to probably start the splurge of cars down to pit lane. We're 33 laps into Hernandez's run, so I imagine he's going to have to come to pit lane by lap 130, but I would imagine Could be the next couple of laps if he wants to really extend the tire life here. 35 to go, 34 laps in. I'd say this is it. You got to come now if you want to extend your tire life as much as possible.
Yeah, I thought for a second I heard Stravato coming down a pit lane. I think he's just thanking Ben Lafter for letting him on by. But yeah, no, if I'm Hernandez, I'll be thinking, within the next few laps, I'm going to be wanting to come down. Still haven't heard anything on the radio from really anyone else in the field announcing that they're going to come on down.
Matthew Close is in his box from 10th. It has been, as I mentioned, a quiet day since the crashes we saw in the early going between Bowers, Hutton, and Cockrell, to name a few. It's been all clean and green, and we've had green to checkered flag races at Chicagoland before, and it has actually sort of become the norm here. It's actually harder to find a caution flag here than it is to find a green, which is not going to be the case the next couple of weeks, I imagine, because of the list of tracks that we're going to.
Especially North Wilkesboro, that's going to be definitely one I imagine we'll see a few yellows, and also if anyone's been harboring up any hard feelings throughout the season, get a good chance to take him out.
Here's Colusa beginning to put more and more pressure on Hernandez now. Matthew Close leaving the box right in front.
I think I was hoping to maybe catch Hernandez sleeping and when he get in a cycle like this again. I think he's not going to make a move, and then all of a sudden makes the move and tries to make it work, but for Colusa, a new dice.
Chuck Sweeney on pit lane. Casey Lacatas cycles up into 6th. Keep an eye on Lacatas. He's got 31 laps to go. He's been on the racetrack. He'd have to go 55 laps. That's certainly not going to happen. See what his strategy is.
Yeah, he's in the same boat as Stravato, and where they're just short of, a couple of laps short of making it, but to the point where there's no way that they're going to be able to save enough.
And look at this, 1, 2, 3, all together as they come across the line. Stravato's work is done. He's right with the race leaders, and now he can try to run with them or run around them. He's going to take the ladder. As we approach 30 laps to go, he's going to go straight to the outside of the 20 and vie for second.
And again, he's got about a 10-lap advantage on the tires. Again, I imagine he's used up quite a bit trying to catch back up to these guys, but looking like it's working so far.
He's going to take the lead away here with this run he's got coming on the 19. Look at this run. Going to sweep to the outside. The 19 is going to pick the middle. 30 laps to go. Battle for the lead. Stravato to the outside. Winless this year with only a handful of starts, in stark contrast to last season. But here he is to the race lead. Look at that. That was a power move.
Yeah, making it look easy. Did that? We caught them immediately within 2 laps past both of them. And I think I just heard Colusa, he's thinking of coming down a pit lane.
That's going to have to force these guys to come. Colusa and Hernandez. Colusa.
Stravato thought of coming down, and he's going to completely miss pit road entry. He's just going to throw it away like that.
Oh, man, that was really lazy. He was trying to go defensive, and it cost him even more. But what a mess that was coming to pit lane. Let's have a look at that a little farther back and a little more foresight. They all decided to come, and he just couldn't make it.
Yeah, I think here's what happened. So Colusa called that he was coming down pit lane, entering turn 3. And I think Colusa was looking in his mirror, saw that Hernandez was also coming in. Because he didn't announce it on the radio. He saw that Hernandez is coming down and thought, now I better come on down. But that cost him a huge amount of time.
Yeah, he better hope he can run them down, because that was a really big blunder. Back up under throttle onto the back straightaway. Under 30 to go. Casey Lacatas is the race leader. He'll claim his first lap lead of the day. That's points that will matter come the end of the season. Again, he came into the night 5th in points.
That was a surprising feeling from Rick Allen. Points that would matter.
Implications. I mean, there are points that don't matter.
Are there?
All the points that happen before the chase begins.
Oh, that's true. Fair. I'll give that to you.
Eddie Trejo running second. Jonathan Hernandez in third. And Colusa 8/10 back. But Stravato critically lost a ton of ground.
Honestly, he really should. I think, I mean, obviously, hindsight's 20/20, but he really should have just continued going.
He would have been fine
for one more lap.
Well, they were running the same lap times. One more lap
Yeah.
wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But, I mean, if anything, it would be the gap that he's got now, but he'd have the lap fresher tires.
No, I think it would have still been a lot closer, even with one lap. He was doing pretty well on just one lap, even though those tires were a little bit old. But, yeah, as you mentioned, it would have been a little bit closer in the fresher tires. But, yeah, unfortunate for him that he's going to be a bit on the back foot. Still not completely over yet. Still got 25 laps left to go. Many things can happen.
Well, this time through, Lakatos is in pit lane. That's one of the last drivers we had yet to see. So put our leaders back up to the front, Hernandez, Colusa, and Stravato. But Stravato has a 2.5-second gap to make up if he wants to battle for the race win. And my hunch tells me that he does. He was slower than Colusa, but faster than Hernandez last time around. You're going to have to do better than that to win this race.
Yeah, the problem is, he's been catching these guys on fresher tires. Obviously had an advantage with that. Now he's on the same exact set. That advantage pretty much goes away. He's going to maybe claw a few tenths here and there, but definitely not going to be anywhere near taking out the chunks that we saw earlier on. So it's effectively, at the moment, battle between Colusa and Hernandez. And Colusa is still trying to catch back up to the 19 clip. The apron, they're going to go a little bit up the hill.
Well, he was quicker by 0.2 last time by and is chipping away at it. I think AJ Stravato's only hope is that the front two are going to fight, which they very well could, but that's relying on something that's not very reliable. 24 laps to go this time through. Lap time for Hernandez, a 30.889, a 30.899 for Colusa at the stripe.
Colusa again just tapping the apron, gonna throw him up. I'm not sure if he's doing it on purpose or not, but it's him shooting him up the middle of the racetrack in the middle of the corner. I'm curious to see though what Colusa is gonna do. Again, not exactly sure if he was saving when he caught up to the back of the 19 last time on the last run, or if he was pretty much giving it all, trying to pass. But we'll see here now. It's all moments on the line. You're not saving anything with 20 laps to go.
Colusa's got less to lose than Hernandez. Remember, he tumbled down 8 spots after a 23rd at Daytona. Hernandez was up, and Hernandez came into the night second in the points. He would leave as the points leader if he were to finish first or even second right now. So he's in a great spot, but he needs to perform. Now, Bryce Colusa coming in 8th or 9th in the championship standings. This was going to be, a bad chase if he didn't kind of get in tip-top shape. So a win tonight would be really impressive and would kind of undo what happened at Daytona, which I'm sure he'd like to do.
Now, Colusa, do you get dirty?
I'm not sure I'd make enemies a week before a short track race, but by all means, go ahead. Why don't you go do it? It might be too little too late. He's lapping slower now. Might have overworked those tires sliding around too much. And not a lot of lap traffic to make this easier for Bryce Colusa, but for Jonathan Hernandez, he has not won a race this season. He has pointed his way into second. He's the only driver in the top 4 in the points who does not have a win. And this would be the basically end that winless streak tonight. He won a race last season at Talladega. This time around has not found the fruits of victory lane, but would like to pluck one here at Joliet, Illinois, of all places. Not a lot of fruit in Joliet, Illinois. A lot of spam and packaged meat, though.
Unfortunately, you didn't get a caution to hear any of your stories from Joliet, Illinois.
I think they got an Aldi somewhere, but that's about the best shopping you can get. And Joliet, I'm sorry. Last year I didn't get to experience Joliet because I never left Autobahn. And this year I left Autobahn, and my God, I wish I did. It is bad. There are bad racetrack towns. There's Lexington, Ohio. There's like 6 people there. Joliet might be worse.
Because like Watkins Glen, it's a cute little town, but not one of the best towns.
Watkins Glen is a mecca in comparison to Joliet.
Really?
I would go to Watkins Glen every day of my life rather than go to Joliet.
I'm really trying to imagine how bad. What's the population of Joliet, Illinois?
I don't know. It's probably like 100,000 people, and they're all miserable and hate their lives because they work in a place that was built out of necessity and not because actually anyone ever wanted to go there. It's a container yard.
Really did something bad to you.
The entire place is just would be better off bulldozed and turned into more container yard. You know, this is how you get Amazon 2-day shipping. It's Joliet, Illinois.
At least one part of Joliet, Illinois is going to be bulldozed, and we're looking at it right now.
Maybe for the better. I'm just saying. I mean, it's just. You ever wonder if the world got nuked and the whole place was just toxic wasteland?
Yeah.
That's Joliet, Illinois without the nuke part. Because it's like an hour southwest of like one of the best cities in the country. And it's just so bad in contrast. Man.
Yeesh.
I don't know, man.
So how far is Audubon from Chicagoland?
From Chicagoland, it's like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I don't know. They could just bulldoze the whole country and I'd be fine. Go to Spa instead.
Oh, you know, that's something I wish now just thinking about. I wish we saw around at Spa with stock cars.
That'd be sweet. Remember we drove at Spa in our dorm room?
Oh,
with the stock car with the at night.
Yeah.
And we tried to do a
that
lap
was
time battle.
That was before they added. I think that was before they added day to night or any sort of track lighting. It was just pure dark.
I think it was. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it was literally pitch black. Like there wasn't any like ambient lighting from like the moon.
Right. It was
or atmospheric lighting. It was complete nothing. It was purely
like
black.
Joliet, Illinois. Except at night, the entire place lights up with the ghastly yellow glow of light container yard lighting.
When I ever come down to Chicago to visit you, I almost want to make a point to go visit you just to see how bad it is.
No.
Because you always intrigue me how bad it is.
I don't think you want to do that.
I don't want to do that myself.
I just they got roads down there. I think. I mean, I think the Romans had cobblestone pathways that were more passable for a highway.
Hope anyone from Joliet isn't.
I think the Native Americans had mud paths that were probably better, well taken care of than Joliet's roads.
Are you sure? Because some of the roads by me are pretty crap.
There were potholes that I think there were cars inside that fell off, and they never got the people out. And there's just corpses in there now. And they filled them with asphalt.
Oh, man.
Yeah, not awesome.
Well, I don't think you're going to get it on the tourism board for Joliet, Illinois.
There's a tourism board for Joliet? I think that's just called the daily container shipment. I think that's the tourism board. I mean...
Oh, God.
Look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to Joliet. I'm just saying you shouldn't go to Joliet if you want to have hope for the world at all. Because there are towns that people make because they're like, wow, this is cool. This is on a river. This is on a lake. And this is pretty. And we can like farm things here and we can have a happy family. And Joliet's like, we got 47 million acres of flat land. Let's put a bunch of container yards here with a bunch of rail yards. We'll pay people minimum wage to operate heavy machinery and probably chop their arms off. And then we'll make them live in an 800 square foot house with 10 people. And then we'll put it southwest of Chicago and it'll be great.
Well, I guess the fact that it gets the drivers tonight not driving just for the win, but also the quickest one to leave Joliet,
Illinois.
Illinois.
Out of here. Oh man, if they'll let you out, I think if they like you, they keep you there forever, turn into a container slave or something.
Jesus Christ.
You'll never leave. I'm just saying, Lexington, Ohio is a dump of a town, and Joliet is 10 times worse.
Oh boy, Jesus! I've already heard bad things about Mid-Ohio.
I want to go
Mid-Ohio,
vacation
but,
in Lexington. Actually, that'd be great. You know, be wonderful. Meanwhile, there's a race happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Calusa's been trying to catch back up to Hernandez with that dirty air. Right there, you know that dirty air. It's a tough thing to overcome.
Well, let's just be clear that all the air here is dirty. It's just the less clean air has risen and gone away, full of fumes and diesel, sadness.
I mean, I guess it's a good reason for NASCAR. You're giving all the reasons why. Nothing of a town.
Connor in the chat, get out to Joliet edition. It's like an escape room, but it's real. and when you get out, instead of winning anything, you just win the ability to make more than minimum wage.
Hey, here comes Colusa with a pass, trying to make a pass for the lead.
Oh man, I'm getting myself in trouble for this. It's fine.
Are you?
No.
I mean, I'm sure they're probably aware of how bad the town is, right? So I don't think anyone's going to come after you.
I hope. If you have tickets to this, I mean, not that there are anymore, but if you had tickets for this, retroactively go back, buy them for some other place, and literally anywhere, like honestly, and find yourself having a better time. Look, everyone's happy about Chicagoland because the pavement wore out. I can tell you the city streets in Joliet have been like that for 3 decades. So they should just race on the streets.
Well, the racing on the streets, oh man, imagine considering they moved to Chicago streets.
I was actually in downtown Chicago last weekend with my mother, and we went to the place where the Chicago street course is going to be.
How far is it away from you, by the way?
I mean, I take the train in 15 minutes and then like a 15-minute walk, so half hour all in all. It's close.
Okay.
I mean, it's 6 miles away or something like that. Close enough. For the lead, though, close enough is Bryce Colusa, within a half a car length of Jonathan Hernandez, coming to 3 laps to go. And all kidding aside, we're within striking distance here, but Colusa is struggling to make up any ground once he gets to the bumper of the race leader.
Yeah, I think he was hoping to come off of that pit cycle a lot closer to the back of Hernandez. Unfortunately, he spent the entirety of this run trying to just claw back a few tenths, and even then, when he caught back up to him, just nothing really he can do to overcome the dirty air. But he's only going to have another lap or two really to get back and maybe try something. I can imagine maybe try to go for a send, maybe a bump and run. And if things do go wrong, AJ Stravato sitting just about a second in behind, ready to pick up the scraps.
2 laps to go, 3 miles left before everyone can roll their cars onto a hauler and get the heck out of here. And Jonathan Hernandez is perhaps the most motivated to go to a place that matters on a map. And now just over 2.5 miles left. White flag is waving one more time around Chicagoland Speedway. Colusa behind Jonathan Hernandez, who's out front. He's going to have to drive it in really deep. I just don't think that he's going to have the legs to do it. Too little too late.
Yeah, I think for Colusa, he's got to drive straight on the apron in turn 3 and just try to do a slide jump, something to get past the 19. Let's see what he does here, if he can do anything.
Here he comes. He's going to give it a try. Hernandez into turn 3. Nice and clean, though. For Jonathan Hernandez, a winless streak is over. And welcome to the points lead. Jonathan Hernandez wins at Chicagoland and takes the points lead in the Outsider Racing League chase. He gets it done for the first time this season and is now no longer winless with a 0 in the wins column. He's got one like everybody else in the top 4 in the points. Bryce Colusa second, AJ Stravato third, Jeff Wright and Zach Carr will salvage a 5th. But think of what that could have been, Finian, had that collision not happened on that first pit cycle.
Yeah, he's going to be thinking of what could have been, especially because there was nothing really he could have done better. Because, You know, he called out that he was coming down the pit lane. Unfortunately, he still got rear-ended, but did a great job salvaging something out of what occurred. But yeah, I imagine he'll be just a little bit disappointed with that 5th place finish after looking like the favorite to go away. But unfortunately, he's going to have to sit back and watch Jonathan Hernandez burn it down.
And burn it down he will. His first win on the season. Have to think back to Talladega last time around for his previous victory. And this time it is at a crucial time for his championship hopes. Came into the night 2nd in the points, 4 behind Zach Carr. And now he is in position to win a championship. He's going to have to hang on in a few more races this season. We head to North Wilkesboro next week. And it's going to get harder from here, Finian. This was a round where track position and green flag racing was the name of the game, but next week it's going to be restarts, bump and runs, making enemies and making friends. It's going to be a real challenge, and Hernandez is going to be on the defense the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, we'll see what he's going to be able to do being in that situation. I mean, if he can just keep the consistency up, which has not been a problem for him this season, I think he's got some good things coming for him.
Well, having a look here at our finishers. Jonathan Hernandez, Bryce Colusa, Stravato, Jeff Wright, Zach Carr, the top 5. Strong race, strong runs for those inside the top 5. How about Gabo with a 6th? Licata salvaged an 8th. I don't think that really panned out the way that he was hoping. Trejo 9th, good top 10 for him. And Matthew Close in 10th.
Yeah, moving on back, got Ben Lacker, Joshua Collins, Caleb Weekly, as well as Brad Allison, and then you have most of the drivers that suffered big problems, Ray Massey, Angelo Ronis, and then also Clifton Cocco in 28th, rounding out in 17th.
And Brendan Bowers, Eric Hutton, all out of the race. Crash damage for those drivers. That was not the way that they wanted to end the night. We're going to talk to our 2nd place finisher, Bryce Colusa, a couple tenths of a second short. Bryce, 2nd place, not bad. Sure, he would have liked a couple spots better. How could you have gotten there?
Well, started with the fuel strategy. At first, I thought it was going to be a 2-stopper, or a 3-stopper. I'm sorry. And I made it to lap 48, which is more than I anticipated. So I thought I could maybe save fuel to the next 2 stints, or the next 2. But it didn't quite work out well. It's a lot more than I wanted to. And then it just became John, AJ, and I getting on the same cycle and racing it after the finish.
Well, he came into the night 8th, or actually make that 11th in the point standings after dropping 8 spots at Daytona, a 23rd place there. A second's going to vault you forward pretty well, especially with a couple drivers being absent, a couple drivers not having spectacular nights. How realistic is a championship? You're 33 points back, some clawing up to do, but are your sights still set on the trophy?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to try my best to get there. But, Zach is a very consistent driver, very fast. I was hoping that his little mishap would have dropped him down a few more spots, but he still had a very good finish. So we'll just have to be consistent, try to get some wins, and see how it goes. All
right, Bryce Colusa started 6th, finished 2nd. We'll see you next time at North Wilkesboro. See you there.
Thank you.
AJ Stravato finished in 3rd place tonight. Now, a partial schedule for you this season, but it looked like tonight was the night to end a little bit of a winless streak and get yourself back in victory lane, but it didn't quite happen, AJ. In position, and then that last pit stop sequence sort of all fell apart. Take us through it.
Yeah, I freaking blew that one. There's no other way to say that. I had, I think, the tire advantage and everything. Honestly, I think if I stayed out a lap or 2, I would have been able to catch them a lot easier than what I was doing at the end of the race there, and got to them and probably would have passed them for the win. I was really confident in our speed, and I had not one single lap of practice on the setup, so we were just kind of winging it, and it worked out pretty well for us. We got a 3rd, we led some laps. I felt like if we just didn't make that mistake in pit road, we would have probably been talking to you with a win. But I do want to apologize to my buddy Brendan Bowers. That was I think earlier in the race I made a really bad move, just trying to slide job him, I guess, clear him on the inside, and ruin his day, and I think probably ruin his championship hopes. So I just want to apologize to him on that one as well. But all in all, pretty fun race, pretty decent setup. This track's one of my favorites, and stinks not to win, but always good talking to you guys, and get a good finish.
Oh, 3rd place here tonight, AJ. Again, a partial schedule. Wins on the horizon more than a championship. Well, I guess we'll see you in the next couple rounds, see if you can break through and get that victory. Thanks for talking.
Absolutely, brother. You have a great night.
You too. Move on to Jonathan Hernandez, who will snap his winless streak this season. He is no longer winless in the top 5 in the points. Jonathan, what a night. Up into the lead in the closing moments. You were able to hold off Bryce Colusa, and this one's got to feel real good, and it's a real good time to be in victory lane because we're running out of laps in the season, and you're going to be leading the points.
Yeah, I'm still nervous. I can tell you that. Yeah, first off, hats down to my crew chief. Luckily he was on the box tonight, and he made the call. He said beginning of the race, if we stay green the entire race, we have a good chance of making it work out, especially for that halfway point. So we reverse pitted. We were one of the first ones to pit on around beginning of 40, maybe a little bit before, and it put us in a good position to get the halfway points. And that's what we were aiming for. That was the main goal for tonight: get those halfway points and hopefully get a decent finish to get close to Zach. And sadly, with Zach's low incident he had coming to pit road, it sucks for him, but in the end it played out for us. And I mean, it's just huge shout out to my crew chief right there, Jeff Souza. I don't know if I could have made it to the win like that.
Well, Jonathan, you're leading the points now by 3 over Zach Carr, so we're going to wish you the best of luck at the next round at North Wilkesboro. Got some defense to do the next couple weeks. Best of luck, and we'll see you there.
Thank you. I want to give a quick shout out to my little sponsors here. We just picked up Stent Analyzer. We're good friends over there with the guys over there, Stent Analyzer, Jeff Barnes, and a few other of them over there. So I want to give them a quick shout out for being on the car tonight, and also Souza Media and RPM Motorsports. Without them, every week and everything I do, I don't know if I'll still be racing, but glad to have them on. We'll have them on next week, and I'm looking forward to hopefully keep this momentum up.
All right, John, good luck to you. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
All right, Finney, and wrapping things up here from Chicagoland Speedway, and Jonathan Hernandez getting his first victory on the season. Again, points updated. Everybody inside the top 5 picked up 1, except for Zach Carr. He drops 1. So Jeff Wright, Casey Lacatas, 3rd and 4th. But Carr and Hernandez swap, put Hernandez out front. A solid race here at Chicagoland, clean and green. Probably a contrast to what we're going to see next week at the Wilkesboro track.
Yeah, looking really forward to it. I'm sure these guys they're saving it up. I think they're saving up the cautions, and I think looking to catch them in at North Wilkesboro. They're like, yeah, we had a clean race. You could kind of just go balls to the walls and just start going at each other. We'll see. I will say for the most part, I want to say the tempers have been fairly calm, but the fireworks you would have thought may have come this week, probably going to see them next week at North Wilkesboro.
Have to put out some fires, perhaps put out some flames. Enjoy the rest of your Independence Day weekend. Tomorrow is the 4th for anyone setting fireworks off tonight. You're very welcome for reminding you. We'll see you next week from North Wilkesboro. Again, my name's Kyle Heyer with Finney DeCuna, and next Saturday, our next iRacing stream. Thanks for joining us here on Sim TV, and we'll see you next time.